The cartels have moved in and control all of it now. So even when I investigated, there was a human smuggler, there was a human trafficker. They really didn't dabble with the cartels. Well, now it's the cartel owns all that because they realize the amount of money that these humans are paying. It's a modern day slavery in the U.S. Okay, this is Valverde County, Texas, Del Rio, Texas. And if you look behind me, this is the open borders. It's a great vantage point that we have. If you see over my right shoulder, wide open spaces. Over the left, you pan around here, you see the other side is Mexico. And on this part of the country, in this part of the state of Texas, you do see some illegal alien activity, but mostly what you see is illegal drugs still coming through. The methamphetamine, the fentanyl, marijuana, cocaine, heroin still making its way into our communities, in through Texas, through the rest of the United States. And so this is what you see, ladies and gentlemen, is wide open borders that we need to secure.
How many miles are we looking at there?
No, that area in Del Rio, Valverde County, there's hundreds of miles of. So one thing is I want people to understand that we have a lot of natural barriers. Mm-hmm. Canyons, and we don't need to put walls because we don't need them. People don't come up through there. There are certain areas where we know that they come that we would need additional.
Just flat as a pancake.
Yeah, it's just Hudspeth County, east of El Paso, it's wide open. That's where I would love to see some kind of slowdown, because I worked the cases of the backpackers just coming over with drugs, the SUVs driving through the river with very little water. The Rio Grande has very little water there. Yeah. And just driving through. So I'm going to show you how easy it is, if you wanted to, go into Mexico. I'm standing right now on the Rio Grande River. Right here. I'm on the U.S.-Mexico border right now, ladies and gentlemen. There's no Border Patrol agents in sight. But we know that the cartels and the illegal activity is right behind me. They drive SUVs through here full of drugs. They sent the illegal aliens with meth, methamphetamines, fentanyl, pills, you name it. This is the open borders that the Biden administration refuses to acknowledge. I am standing on the river. What you're seeing right now is the Rio Grande River.
So if your estimate is we've got 15 to 18 million people, and DHS, I want to be clear about this, DHS has acknowledged that we've got millions of Venezuelans that have come here, and that Venezuela has emptied their prisons of their murderers, their rapists, their drug addicts. They've emptied their rehab centers and said, we're turning you loose as long as you leave this country and go to the United States. And DHS knows that, and they know they've come here, and they know they've entered the United States. We've processed them in. They come and they've got a passport or whatever from Venezuela. We know that they've come from the prisons and the rehab centers. We processed them into America, and we have no idea where they are.
Well, some we do, and I'll give you some locations. By the way, and in addition to that, before I forget, some are coming with an agenda, are being sent. They are Chavistas sympathizers. These are Hugo Chavez people. They're socialist communists, and they're bringing that agenda purposefully in South Florida. In Dallas, Texas, South Dallas, Texas, there's an area called Via Dallas right now that is controlled by illegal alien Venezuelans. You can't go in there. Dallas PD doesn't even go in there. As a matter of fact, they're looking for private security people to try to go in there and contain the trafficking, the drugs, the prostitution, everything that's going on in there. And just like this community in Dallas, there's one in Florida. And they're all around. And it's the gang associated with Tren de Aragua, the gang, the Venezuelan gang that has attached itself to these communities and control these areas here in our country.
Would you say there's over 1 million that have gotten in the United States from Venezuela?
I have to check on that number for you, but I would say close. We're in an area that where the razor wire has been cut, and we have a group of aliens come up, including infants and children. They seem to be in distress, crying. This is not humanitarian, guys. This is no compassion. We have the Border Patrol able to assist and bring an infant over to not get caught in the razor wire. They're putting themselves at risk. They're putting themselves in danger. This is what we must communicate to the rest of the world, that you're going to become a victim as an infant goes.
When you say these unaccompanied children are coming across with the numbers written on them, you're telling me what Brandon Judd told me, because I asked him, are we actually using U.S. dollars to provide transportation and shipping these children off to unvetted sponsors, as they call them, who can be pimps, or they're running slaughterhouses, chicken houses, or whatever for these children? He said, yes, that's not possible. It is happening every single day.
It's our money. It's our taxpayer money that is funding this through the NGOs.
And we have example after example after example where we have confirmed that they have gone to prostitution rings, slaughterhouses, or whatever. We know that to be, we know enough to know that that's happening.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no question there. We have so many operations throughout the United States now, HSI, and everybody's still trying to do their job. They're still trying to do as much as enforcement as possible.
I've never met a more dedicated bunch of men and women.
Correct.
But it's like stomping ants at a picnic. You don't have enough stompers.
You don't. And sometimes, like I said, I hate to mention this, but it's the truth. It's the politics get in the way. And I'll give you an example. Even when I was still working, I was going to take down a mid-level drug trafficker. He happened to be enrolled at the University of Texas in El Paso. And he was a student there.
So he has a market.
Yeah, so of course, right?
He's not exactly studying geography.
No. He's making money, pretend to go to class, and he happened to be illegal. So my partner and I, a couple of agents and I brought the case, and I said, I'm a big fan of law and order. I'm going to walk in the classroom with our raid jackets and flash my badge, and you're under arrest, and hook them up right there. Wanted to do that. This happened outside of the door before we went in. It was in a nice controlled environment. I get a call on my phone from my supervisor ordering me to stand down. I said, don't you do it, Victor. Don't you arrest him.
Why?
Because it was in a school setting. So I go, so who cares? Well, that's when the order had come down from Washington, from President Obama, saying you are not to arrest him at a school, at a church, or at a courthouse. So that's how it affects the field agent all the way down. So I didn't care. The guy's a bad guy. So we actually we watched him walk out of the classroom, and I said, well, now you want me to go get him while he's in his car, makes it more dangerous for public. You want me to, this is a nice controlled environment. We love arresting people at courthouses because you went through metal detectors. They didn't have a gun, all these things. No, these are protected sanctuary places. You can't arrest them there. And so it started limiting our job. And what it limits is public safety. That's what it does. Puts the public in more danger. And I think now more than ever, the American people are finding that out when they're seeing or know of someone that has already died of a fentanyl poisoning, when they know someone that has been assaulted or killed by an illegal alien, and all of a sudden it's becoming too common.
How much of the fentanyl that's coming across the border is being seized today? What percent?
I would say 10 to 15%.
10 to 15%. And I've been told by the DEA that 10 to 15% is enough to kill everybody in America.
Heck yeah. That's a lot of fentanyl. Because of the amounts that are coming in, it's a lot of fentanyl. And these seizures, by the way, have gone up. You've seen these incredible seizures of thousands of pills, and it's great, but it's only an indicator that it's coming through. It's the other way around. When I worked narcotics at the border and we started seizing left and right, that wasn't a good thing, Dr. Phil. It's the other way around. We knew that we were getting
That's how much you're missing.
Correct.
If you're seizing that much, that means you're missing that much.
A lot. Correct.
Yeah. If your seizures go up tenfold, then what's getting across is going up tenfold.
That's right.
Now, these pill mills down there that are pressing these pills, the pills are 100% counterfeit that are being sold on the internet up here. And the DEA tells me 40 to 42% of them have lethal doses of fentanyl in them, because I assume these are untrained people just mixing this stuff up in a bathtub. When it gets to putty consistency, they put it in a pill press.
And that's a good stat because those are lethal doses. According to the DEA, 7 out of the 10 pills contain fentanyl.
Right.
So we're at a party, you take one, I take one. They both have fentanyl, but one dies and the other one doesn't.
Yeah.
And that's exactly because that pill looks exactly like a Xanax pill. It looks exactly like an Adderall. It looks exactly like an Oxycontin M30. It looks exactly like these drugs that are flowing on campuses, Dr. Phil. I have a 19-year-old in college, my son. They're flowing on campus.
And I understand the political differences in this, and I'm so non-political, you can't even imagine. I'm not sure I could spell Republican or Democrat if you held a gun on me. I put D and R is all I care about. I'm a member of the Common Sense Party, I guess. It just seems to me we're all Americans, and if our children are being poisoned, the estimates are 100,000 Americans were poisoned.
Just last year, remember?
Yeah, just last year. 100,000 in 2023. Close to 100,000 were poisoned by fentanyl. They call it overdose. That's not overdose, it's poisoning. They're buying what they think is Adderall, Xanax, or whatever. I had a few people on the show recently that their daughter had purchased what she thought was Xanax. On autopsy, there was not one molecule of Xanax in her blood. It was all fentanyl and some home cleaning products or something, just whatever they had, filler.
That's right.
To put it in there. These are poisonings. Why is this happening? I'm very pro-immigration. I'm very pro-immigration. But this illegal immigration where we have hundreds of thousands of Venezuelan criminals, which the DHS has acknowledged that they know they're emptying the prisons down there. This is like back in Cuba when they emptied all the Cuban prisons and sent them up here to Florida.
Yes, right. The Marielitos.
Yeah, it's the Scarface movie in real life. What is the political currency to not close the border?
Well, that's the frustrating part because it makes no sense. And I agree with you. It's a nonpartisan issue. This is public safety. That's like the two parties fighting over whether DUI is okay or not. We're for it. We're against it. Nobody's for DUI. Who would be for leaving a border open for murderers to come in, for drug addiction, come in with lethal fentanyl? Who would want? I see these children coming through the wire. I have nothing against those children, but let's not bring them in and turn them over to pimps. We've got a lot of military-aged Chinese nationals coming in. I'm told almost 50,000.
50,000 for what period of time?
In this administration, in the last 3.5 years. Almost 48 and change, 49,000.
And the 10 years between 2010 and 2020, they tell me it was closer to 1,000, 1,200. So it's gone up to 50,000 during this administration. A significant portion of them military-age men.
Yes.
And I'm told by the border agents that a lot of them have military haircuts. They've got new boots. They're in shape. They look like they're coming here with training.
I've seen them at the border when these groups are coming in. You see them. Well, my training, anybody could see them. They're like, you either been institutionalized in a prison or you're a soldier. You're one or the other because of the way you're standing, because of the way you take direction, where you place your hands, where you place your feet, where you place your belongings, how you put it. It's a very
regimented,
very detectable, sign. And I've seen them a lot from Venezuela. I've actually had the Venezuelans admit to me that they're actual soldiers. They're soldiers. Yeah, I'm from Venezuela. But what did you do there? What was your job? How did you eat? Well, I'm a member of the forces, and you're a soldier? What the heck are you doing here?
This just seems to me, our leaders are fiduciaries. It just seems to me that this is beyond poor judgment. just seems like a dereliction of duty. I mean, we're to support the Constitution. This doesn't seem to me that we are supporting the Constitution in this regard. Am I wrong?
Agree with you. You're not wrong. Dereliction of duty is a very good term. People are getting impeached over it, and my concern is the well-being of the American people, public safety, national security. I've been in Peoria, Illinois. I was in Iowa, and these towns are highly affected now by cartel, illegal immigration, crime, and they were already dealing with high levels of crime to begin with our own people, and so they're like, well, we don't know what to do.
Final question: are these cartels having firefights along the border on the Mexican side?
As a matter of fact, this past week was a very deadly week in Tamaulipas, the state of Tamaulipas, which is probably the most dangerous one right now. It's on the other side of Matamoros or Brownsville, Texas, South Texas. And it's the Gulf Cartel versus Los Zetas and CDN. And it's always the same fight. It's for territory. It's for trafficking routes up to the border, right? You have Sinaloa Cartel take over the El Paso, Texas area, Ciudad Juarez, which I have never in my life thought that would happen. That was under the Juarez Cartel, which at one point was the most dangerous and powerful cartel in the world. Sinaloa has grown so much, it's taken over that territory. But there's continuous daily fights in the middle of the day. A lot of innocent people dead. Cartels versus military versus police, back and forth. And it's ignored over there.
And they tell me that the cartels have incredible armament. They got rockets,
RPGs, belt-fed machine guns, armored vehicles of different classes now. You've probably seen some of these videos. When I see these videos and how they're dressed, and I see money. That's all I see is billions of dollars that they firearms, a lot of the weapons from the U.S., a lot of weapons that are supposed to go to Ukraine ended up in the hands of the cartel.
Really? How are they getting to the cartel?
Well, the cartel has money and power and influence in a lot of places that sometimes people don't imagine, and they get their hands on these weapons. They want weapons. It's illegal to possess a weapon in Mexico, but not. They operate with impunity in Mexico. They carry weapons like in open carry.
We're sending weapons to Ukraine. Are they getting them en route, or are they getting them from Ukraine?
They're getting them en route. They're getting them en route. The same thing with Fast and Furious type of operations. Two of the guns used against us were part of Operation Fast and Furious. So they're ending up 50 cal. I mean, you're talking about armament that I think even the Mexican military at this point would have a hard time dealing with the cartels because of the sheer numbers that they have and the broad, and not just in Mexico, in the United States and 40 countries abroad. They have presence everywhere. These guys are highly sophisticated networks. I want people to understand these are not gangs anymore. These are not your, let's get together.
These are regiments.
These are regiments. These are highly sophisticated networks.
On U.S. soil, we have some of these cartels that are armed and prepared to move and protect.
Yes, and they and some of the conferences I show some of the videos of them patrolling in Arizona and in Texas in their trucks, fully armed, 50 cals, AKs, driving in our state, in our country. It's not in Mexico. It's not in Central America. It's not in Iraq. It's here. There's one in Phoenix where it's very scary. They're passing a trooper that had pulled over a vehicle, and these guys are making fun, just driving. They're amongst the traffic.
In an armored vehicle.
And but I don't know if that vehicle is armored because the shot is from the inside, but they have a 50 cal in the middle of the, and then they are fully armed and they're driving that. But this is happening every single day here.
And let's stay on this. Let's you and I make sure we get this word out, because with your information and my platform, we will get this out. You watch what happens.
That's one of my goals, is to make the American people aware.
Well, I know it sounds cliche to say it, but thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice. I mean, you put your life on the line. You've been shot up. Thank you for standing in the gap for the rest of us.
I appreciate you.
We'll talk again?
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.